Welcome, guys. For those of you that are just logging in, we'll be starting in a few minutes. I'm just giving it a few more minutes to get some more logged in here. You're back.
I'm back. Hey, everybody. Good to see some names that are recognized. We'll be starting in a little bit. Appreciate you being here.
Yes, absolutely. We'll give it a few more minutes. So how did you get it so quiet there, Dr. Mehler? Where are the kiddos? Are you hiding in a closet?
I am hiding.
Oh.
I'm definitely far away from all the madness at the house.
I hear you. I will give like another minute. So what's the temperature down there now in sunny Florida?
74 degrees, nighttime.
So
babies getting fed, other babies napping.
Life is good. Life is good.
Life is good.
Sunny Florida.
Thanks, for sure. Thanks everyone for joining. We appreciate you being here. I think we're just going to wait just one more moment, then we'll get it kicked off. We really appreciate you taking the time to come on here.
Yeah, we'll give it one more minute. All right, you want to get started?
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, welcome, guys. Thank you all so much for coming. We appreciate you guys taking the time. We know it's kind of a crazy time of year. So we definitely appreciate you all joining us and taking some time out of your busy schedule to be here tonight. Tonight is really just a great opportunity for you guys to learn more about what the day in the life of an Aspen endodontist is all about. So we encourage you guys to ask any questions. There's no questions off limits. There's actually a chat box on the bottom that you guys can chat in any questions that you would like to know. So we definitely encourage you to, this is your opportunity to, ask anything that you'd like to know. Like I said, there's nothing off limits. Our goal tonight is really just to have you guys hopefully walk away with something that you didn't know when you came on board and take a little insight away from tonight's conversation. So like I said, please, ask anything that you like to know. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Kristen. My role with Aspen is I'm an academic and industry relations manager. So essentially what that means is that I work with endo and OS residency programs throughout the country doing events like this. Then I also host like academic dinners. I go to national conferences such as like AAE and APACES, and it's just a great opportunity for me to network with you guys to kind of just get a better understanding of who you are, who your programs, what they're all about, as well as like an opportunity for you guys to know more about who we are and what we're all about. And not just on a professional level, but also on a personal level. So it's just a great opportunity for us to hopefully walk you guys through hopefully your career path and learn some insight on who we are. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Mehler and we'll let him introduce himself and then we will get started. There are some questions that came in a little while ago, so we'll address those. And then as the night goes on, we will continue to answer all the questions as they come in, whether myself or Dr. Mehler will address them as they come in accordingly. So with that being said, Dr. Mehler, why don't you introduce yourself and give us, a little bit about your journey and your career here with Aspen.
Hey everybody, Alex Mehler. I'm excited to see some names of people I know, a bunch of names that I don't know as well. Appreciate you taking the time. Everyone's incredibly busy, whether you're experienced, whether you're in residency. It's a wild time of year right now. We have families, lives. Your time is incredibly valuable. And that's something that we truly believe and take to heart. I'll tell you a little bit about my journey and over the course of this session, anything that you're thinking of, please ask questions. We've gotten a lot of great questions from the people that I know who are on here. Don't hold back. The more information you know, the better it is for you to make, the best decision for yourself as far as your career, whether it's with us, whether it's part-time, whether it's full-time. And we just want to give you all of the tools and all the information so that you set yourself up for success. So I graduated from my endo program at Nova Southeastern University after doing a college and dental school at University of Florida. So I'm a Florida guy and I've met a lot of you across the country. I came out of school doing full-time clinical endodontics. I talked to a lot of different private practices down here. My father was a general dentist in the area about 15 minutes from where I did my residency program. When I was looking at jobs, I always thought that I would go the private practice route. We didn't have Aspen Dentals when I grew up in this area at all. So it was something that was kind of foreign to me. There was another DSO, didn't have the best reputation. So it wasn't something I really considered a lot. But as I was interviewing with private practices, looking at jobs, looking at traveling, one of the dental students who was at Nova told me, you got to talk to my husband. He's a dentist. He works with Aspen Dental. You really need to check it out. I blew it off for a while, but after interviewing and having people talk about, getting patients and going out into the community and private practices not giving me patients and all the work we'd have to do, something that always came up was if you really want to make money, I wouldn't do it, but you can always work for one of those DSOs. I took that to heart. I thought, you know what? I put a lot of time into school, my education. It's a very expensive endeavor. It's very time consuming. Why not? So I had been turning down Aspen Dental for about 3 years, and I finally met the dentists who are working there, and young, like-minded people want to make money, want to have fun, want to do good for patients. It ended up being one of the best decisions for me. Came out of school covering 7 offices being full-time. They were incredibly busy offices. Aspen Dental is owner equity. And what that means is they want to have the dentists own the offices. So when I first started, it was basically 2 regions, a little bit above me, a little more north of that. Husband and wife owned 5 practices. Another guy owned 2 practices. Now the person who was above owned about 5 practices. It ended up being the best decision that I made. It worked out well for me. When it works well, it can be very rewarding. I worked extremely hard, came in, always had microscope, always had CBCT, really focused on building relationships, really focused on filling the schedule, doing the best work I can, right? I always thought that as long as I put the patient care first, everything else would come. They promised me the ability to fill the schedule. They said, hey, we have all these patients. We're going to fill you up. I was being told these numbers about what some of the endodontists were making and what they could do. And the dentists who own these offices and who talked to me said, nope, that's not going to happen. We're going to do even better. And they delivered. My current role now, and the way that I'm here in front of you and the way many of us have met, as I'm working and traveling to offices, it's not easy. Endodontics is not always that easy. And even though we set you up in the best way possible, mostly primary endodontics, mostly patients that haven't been to the dentist 5 to 10 years, right? It's really the bread and butter cases that you hope to get that a lot of times you don't in private practices, but you're going into these general dental offices. I kept saying there has to be more. They always talk about support. So what does support mean, right? You're going to show up, you're going to work on the relationships, you'll have busy schedules, you'll have all the technology, you'll have the materials that you want. We'll be able to set you up the way that you want so that you'll be able to come in, focus on the work, do the best work possible, do well financially, and go home. As Aspen was building up that support network, as they've done a fantastic job for general dentists, I kept saying, hey, there has to be more. Where's the endodontist? Who can I talk to? Cases are difficult, relationships are difficult. I'm coming into these offices, I'm sitting behind the microscope, I'm doing the best that I can, but sometimes you feel a little bit isolated. And we have this whole network of specialists at Aspen. They have endodontics and oral surgery. So I thought, hey, there has to be something. So I kept telling them we need this position. Eventually, I had the opportunity to interview for a position that didn't previously exist, and that is how I'm here. That's how I'm in front of you, making the transition to also being part of the clinical team. So my role here is to help make endodontists' lives easier, to make sure we're building those relationships, opening the communication, so that when we tell you come out of school and we have these cases, we can fill your schedule, we can get you the materials, we can get you that support that we talk about so that you can focus on the clinical care, because that's the most important thing. There's a lot of patients at Aspen Dental who need the care, who need your specialty services. A lot of the dentists coming out of school really have no interest in doing endodontics. We all know that the training is not where it needs to be. If you're coming straight out of school, they're focused on a lot of other things. There's a lot else that they can do. So the goal is to have endodontists going into these offices, providing the care that these patients need. And when you're getting anteriors and premolars and molars that have never been touched before, a lot of carious exposure, primary endo, you're able to build a system and do the work very well and very efficiently. And that's how people at Aspen are able to be very successful, by doing the best work possible, by getting great cases, building treatment heavy schedules, getting everything set up so you can come in, do the best work, go home, not think about it. I've never done nights, I've never done weekends, never had emergencies that come in. You can talk to your dentist. We all know that there aren't a lot of true emergencies that happen with endodontics. And it's really a great system if it's something that will work for you as far as the traveling and going in and being able to do the cases like that. So over the course of this session, please go to the Q&A, go to the chat, whichever one works well for you. No one's going to know who's asking questions. This is the time where you could just anonymously hit us with whatever you have, because it's a big decision, right? Where you're going to spend your time, where you're going to spend your energy, how you're going to put food on the table. You got to like what you do. It's a long day. If you like what you do, if you like the work, you like the people that you work with, it makes it a lot easier. I appreciate you coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Miller, so we got a question too, in terms of like the microscope. Does Aspen provide a microscope?
Definitely. So Aspen has global microscopes. When we have endodontists coming in, we buy a new microscope. You take the microscope with you from office to office, and there are stands in each office. I've never done a root canal treatment in any office without a microscope since I've been at Aspen. Yes, I've used my loupes plenty of times beforehand and moonlighting and residency, and it's not ideal. I personally love to have the microscope there, but they provide the microscope and they're going to set you up with all the materials. I've never had to pay for anything out of pocket. I've never had to have an issue with getting supplies either on that standpoint. If there's something that I've wanted, they've gotten it for me.
Perfect. Yes. And then we also have another one. Are specialist employees or independent contractors?
So right now, the specialists at Aspen are employees. It's W-2. A lot of us know people who have gotten independent contractors and stuff like this, but you're coming in, all the materials are being provided for you. There's benefits, including health insurance options, 401k with match. If you're full-time, you get company car. So that's what I took advantage of right away. Brand new Nissan Pathfinder. It covers all the mileage, the gas, the insurance, maintenance, whatever it is when you're full-time, because you are doing a lot of driving. And because of some of these benefits, and they have more, but it's a big company, it is an employee status that you're at. So you're going to be making a lot of money. You pay a lot of taxes. That's part of the consequence. We're looking into alternative options. Obviously, all of us want to take care of ourselves and we don't want to be paying all the money in taxes. So there are initiatives that we're working on all the time to try to see how we can make it better. But because of the benefits and because of the system and the patients are there and all that, it's employees right now.
Awesome. It looks like, so we touched base on that in the microscope, and then we also have hold on one second, there's two more. How does diagnosis work between owner dentist and the endodontist? Wait, you're muted.
It works really well when you have the communication going back and forth with your owners, with the office managers, with the lead dentist. So some offices have one dentist. I've worked in offices that have up to 3 dentists at certain times. Usually all 3 are not there when I'm coming because it gets a little busy. I'm a strong believer in a lot of communication and relationships. You come in, you make presentations to them, you say like, this is what I'm looking for diagnosis and treatment planning. A lot of endodontists will have people like the office managers send all of the radiographs, you know, five days or a week before you come in, and you can screen the patients. But because you're going into the office, you're working side by side with the dentist, you're able to tell them, this is what I'm looking at, this is how I diagnose, this is how I treatment plan. Because if they're putting patients on your schedule that really don't need endo, that are just sensitive that day, you have to sleep at night. I don't personally ever want to do treatment that doesn't need it. That's not what I'm comfortable with. Because you're going in with these dentists, you don't have to do that. There's not going to be that pressure. In that same vein, if you come in and you have cases that are non-restorable, it's going to fall off the day. That's going to be a problem. You really don't want to waste time. So there's a lot that we say. It's not just showing up and having the patients there, but by building those relationships, talking to the office managers, talking to the dentist, you're able to really program, hey, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I want. And you're able to kind of fine tune and tweak that so that you're able to build good schedules with good restorative cases with these dentists. So that's a big benefit of being there side by side.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, awesome questions. They're rolling in. Thank you. I appreciate it. Next one, Dr. Mehler, what are the types of cases you typically see on a day-to-day basis?
Majority primary endodontic treatment, a lot of carious exposures, obviously some vital, some necrotic. There's a big mix. Within about 3 months of being in the offices, they stopped doing root canal treatments completely. Only one of the 7 offices did any endo treatment the first 3 months that I was there, really. And once he figured out, hey, I can work side to side, we can refer all these cases, they all stopped doing it. So I would probably say, you know, if you're doing 8 to 10 cases a day, about 70% are going to be molars and 30% are going to be anteriors and premolars. And that really just depends what offices you're going to. You know, sometimes you can have half of the cases would be primary molar treatment and then a split between anteriors and premolars. When I first started, there were a few retreatments that I was doing. I really needed to be selective with those. Anything that was retreatment, surgery, gets scan and eval beforehand, make sure that it'll be a good case, because sometimes these offices you're only going in once a month, twice a month. So it's not always the best use of your time and resources to be in these offices, right? Because if you have to do a case in 3 steps and 3 visits, it may just not be the best use of your time. And even though we are endodontists, we're the specialists, we want to do everything, we need to take into account, you know, our frequency in the office and some of those, you know, some of those things as well. But that being said, I did do surgeries. I've done retreats. I have no problem doing that. I think surgeries is a fantastic tool to have. You just got to make sure that it works in the schedule. You're doing really good case selection as well.
Right. Exactly. Next we have a bunch here, so this is great. If you are part-time, how will traveling to different offices and mileage be compensated, since we are going to be an employee?
So Aspen reimburses mileage. If you don't have the car, if you don't want the car, if you're part-time, I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it's 57 or 59 cents a mile. It changes based on what the tax codes are. It's gone up significantly this year. But you do put in for reimbursements when you're going office to office. They're not going to make you cover your gas and all this other stuff. You know, we do value the mileage that you're putting on your car, and that's just like any traveling job that they have. So there are ways to expense things and get paid back for it. A question that I saw a little bit above, I touched on it a little bit. Surgical root canal treatment therapy frequently. For me in South Florida, a lot of times they will extract the tooth and be ready to place implants. I love the docs that I've been, that I've been able to work with. Sometimes patients want to keep the teeth. I'm happy doing surgery about twice a month, 3 times a month, not a lot. We have someone that I'm close to who's down in Texas, who's doing a lot more surgical treatment. It's really whatever you want to do. You have the ability to do as much or as little as certain cases as possible. And again, it's building the relationships with the dentists you work with.
Exactly. Next one too is, are CBCTs located within our practices? If so, what kind?
So Aspen Dental has CareStream CBCT units that those are in a lot of different practices, a lot of residencies. It has the ability to go to 75 voxels, high resolution, the endodontic CBCT. They're in about 90% of offices right now. The goal is to be in 100% of the offices. We're supposed to get there by the end of this year. We should by the end of next year. They're constantly converting if offices don't have 3D capabilities. If we put an endodontist in an office, we will plan to convert that office to have the ability to take CBCTs.
Exactly. Next up are, how are endos compensated? Is it based on production, and what percentage rate usually?
Great question. I have a lot of friends that work for different companies, different DSOs, and we've had people that come up and say, hey, do I need to push harder? Do I need to negotiate? It's straight across the board at Aspen Dental. It's 45% of, don't know the exact, it's adjusted production, it's collection, it's whatever is taken in, it's gross profit. 45% gross profit is the term, right? So what that means is after they've taken the money, after they get it in, it's 45% of what's basically been collected after certain adjustments. And Aspen Dental is very good because it's a huge company. They have about 97, 98% collections. So that number is very high. Every so often you'll have write-offs. There's patient financing. If you go into any practice, you can't get paid on money that they don't collect. They're very good at collecting the money at Aspen. So that number gets to be pretty close to what you produce.
Right. Next up too is, how many endodontists currently work for Aspen? Is there a lot of tenure?
So we currently have 74 endodontists that are working for Aspen Dental. It is the unique model. We're going into general dental offices. It's great when it works. And there are people that have been with the company for a long time. Our most tenured endodontist has been with Aspen for 17 years. She is located in the Connecticut, Massachusetts area, and she loves it. There's no sign of her stopping. We have a few other endodontists in the Northeast that have been with Aspen for over 10 years. And there are people in certain markets. Boston, for instance, person worked as a general dentist, went back to school for endodontic residency. He's been there for about 5 years. He doesn't want to leave. We have some other people who've been around, 4 or 5 years. And when people are able to figure out the system, it works really well. There are a few specialists that we have who've started in one area of the country and have moved to other areas and have been with Aspen for 5 to 8 years. And the goal is to create the job that you wouldn't want to leave, that you wouldn't want to go do something else. We understand that a lot of times that happens, but we've been very lucky to have some pretty good retention, and it keeps getting better and better each year.
Absolutely. Okay, next up, like I said, awesome guys. The questions are great. Mentorship is important to me. Do we have CEs or any additional courses that Aspen offers?
Yeah, so we have our headquarters in Chicago, in Fulton Market. It's in West Loop area. We're running courses, not where we necessarily tell you how to do endo. A lot of the stuff after school, after a few months, you're going to be comfortable doing root canal treatment. Again, we have 74 endodontists right now. And the goal is to really take everybody and bring them together so that if you have questions, we have Microsoft Teams chats, we have CE courses together. You know, a lot of people will text each other who have been around and who meet, and we try to connect you as much as possible. We're implementing new CE continuums so that you have the CE needed for renewing your licenses. We recently had a CE course with Martin Trope. We've worked on courses with Dr. Ali Nasseh. We've had George Bruder. We've had some CBCT lectures. We're working on some other ones. We got some stuff in the pipeline. We're lucky that we have the ability to leverage our contacts in the industry to do stuff with real world endodontics and next level endo, and we're really trying to focus more on that. As far as the things coming into Chicago, we really want to bring people together, tell you how to build your business, connect you with other endodontists, how to remove friction from your practices, how to be as successful as you can, and how we can figure out how to do the best we can to take away obstacles so you can focus on the patient. We're also looking at how do we pair people with other specialists kind of in the area who are in the region. What does that look like so that you have the ability to ask questions and to reach out? Because even when you go into private practice, mentorship means a lot of different things. A lot of times you're not going to have that person. If you're in an office with another doc, they're not necessarily going to walk away from their patient and help you out. And we're trying to do as much as we can with CEs and bringing people together to leverage that. We also had our leadership retreat in Miami this year. We had, I think, 37 endodontists coming in for that. We brought Dr. Nasseh in, and he did a CE course. We had like a 4-hour CE. We also brought the endodontists together, you know, social atmosphere, connecting and meeting and trying to do that as much as possible to like bridge the gap between everyone so that you feel like you really do have that system around you.
Absolutely. Okay, next up is how much does a typical molar cost and a CBCT scan? Also, if we wanted to do a second scan for free for the patients, do we have the freedom to do so?
Okay, so I'll work through parts of that. You have the freedom to do anything you want. You can charge for the scan if you want. You don't have to charge for the scan if you want. Our goal at Aspen Dental is to remove barriers for the patient. They do new patient exams for free. In these environments, yes, you want to take a CBCT and charge for it. It's under your license. You're the one who's interpreting it. You definitely are able to get paid for it. If you want to take intraoperative CBCTs, I would never charge the patient for intraoperative CBCTs, but it's nice to have it because it's a fantastic tool to use. Typical CBCT scan will range from about $180 to $280, depending on insurances, reimbursements, locations, where you are in the world. A typical molar at Aspen Dental right now is somewhere in the $1,100-$1,200 range when you have everything in there. And we're currently working with the insurance we're working on insurance negotiations. We're working with payer strategy services. A lot of these Aspen offices are in lesser served areas, more rural areas, not a lot of access to care. And because of that, we're really leveraging our numbers. So we have over 1,000 offices, and we want to make sure that we're being compensated properly. So that's something that I've been working on a lot this past year. So we're in that negotiation phase to try to increase the reimbursements.
Perfect. And then on that note too, is there a non-compete? If so, what is the typical radius?
Great question. No non-compete. Definitely something that if you're looking at jobs, you should take a look at. A lot of times people's first jobs is not their last jobs. Obviously, if you come work at Aspen, we want to keep people and retain them as long as possible. But most of these patients are coming from the Aspen Dental offices. They have the new patient flow and volume. the founder and CEO, Bob Fontana, also believes in making sure that people are happy. And the DSO is not just to serve the patient, it's to serve the dentist, right? So the whole purpose here is making sure that we have great providers, we're providing the CE, we're providing that support, right, to get you everything that you need to focus on the patient. So if you're not happy and you don't want to be at the Aspen office, most of those patients are coming from within the office. We don't want to create a situation where you're going to have to leave, move, sell your house, do something like that. In the same vein, if you're working part-time, we want to make sure that you can work in the area. We have people who have worked with us while they have open practices, while they work for other practices. We have somebody who is a part owner in 3 endo practices and works in the Aspen offices 3 days a week, as he's making such great money and he with Aspen, and he has associates in his practices. So people do it a lot of different ways, but without having that, by eliminating the non-compete, we want to make it as easy as possible for you to come work at Aspen and be happy, right? We don't want anyone to feel locked in to anything.
Right, and I'll piggyback off that too, along with like the non-compete. We also, obviously, when you come aboard with us, you have a letter of agreement, but you can highlight on this too, but there is no binded like length of time that you are, stuck working with us. If it didn't work out, you have nothing to lose. And I think that is important because a lot of other companies and private practices, and I get asked this every day when I host events, is, they're stuck there for 2 to 5 years. And what good is that, right? If you are not happy, it's not good for you, it's not good for the patients or the practice. But with us, we do not have that. If by chance it did not work out for you, hopefully that's not the case, but it very well could happen. You're not stuck with us. You just say, okay, this is not a fit for me. And give us respectfully 90 days so we can find a replacement. But I think it's important to know that, you're not held hostage per se if it's not working out for you. Would you agree, Dr. Miller?
Yeah, 100%. We want people to be happy with what they're doing. We want you to be happy coming into these offices, treating the patients, being able to do the best work that you can, right? If you're not happy, if you're not liking it for whatever reason, we want to make sure that you're in that position. That's why we don't really want to give that hard sell. We want to make sure that we give you everything that you need, give you as much information possible. That's why we do events like this tonight, because the more you know about Aspen, the more you know about any other company or private practice or anything else, we want you to be informed to make the best decision for yourself to be as successful as possible. We hope that that may be with us in any sort of capacity, full-time, part-time, supplementing, but we know that it's not always the case, right? So we don't want anyone to feel that that's how it is. And the 90 days is really just a grace period because we have so many patients that need treatment. We want to be able to find a replacement so that we don't have a drop in patient care.
Exactly. Okay, next we have, is there an expectation to work a certain speed? Good question. How many patients on average do most Aspen endos see on a typical day?
So it really varies across the board. There are people who do 4 cases a day. We have some providers who are doing 15 to 18 cases a day, right? And that's with different levels of comfort. That's with different levels of experience. If you're coming out of school, I definitely think you need to start slow, ramp up, get comfortable. It's a different environment. You're going to have new setups, new assistants, and you're going to get your speed where it needs to be. If you're able to slow it down and do the best work you can, you're going to get faster because the volume of work is going to be like that. We talk to the dentist, we talk to the field operation, right? So the office managers and the regional managers, they understand that you're coming out of school or that you have certain limitations. We're going to talk about that on the interview phase, right? The goal that we have is doing, again, best work possible. And if you could focus on that, your speed will come, the money will come. We know exactly what the endodontists are making, right? We know exactly how much people are doing in different areas. We don't have daily requirements or daily minimums. I can tell you what the average is across the company. I can tell you what people are doing, but you need to do the best work possible. And that's the only way to do it. If you want to be more successful or push yourself, that's up to you. someone is not going to be behind you, pushing you, saying to do that again. That's not the type of people that we are here. Coming out, I can tell you that I was fully comfortable straight out of school around 8 cases a day. Again, case selection, diagnosis, working with the patients, going up to 12 a day was no big deal after a few months. There are certain people who prefer to keep it 6 to 8 cases a day, but I'd say the average is around 6 or 7 cases a day that people are comfortable with.
Perfect. Okay. Next we have, speaking of positive work environments, what is the culture like working with Aspen? Our favorite question.
Culture is one of the greatest things that we have here. Part of the reason I love my job so much, so many people who are similar age, similar minded people who just want to do great work in the offices and then have fun together. I've gone out to brunches, to dinners, to lunches. We've gone boating together. We've had barbecues at people's houses. We like to have fun. If you're having fun with the people you work with, it'll really make the day a lot easier. It's really a fun group of people, and that's something that they always harp on. If you have been to our leadership retreat or our Vibe events, we're going to have a Vibe event at the end of February. Highly encourage you to come, check it out, see the type of people that we have. Everybody really just wants to do the best they can, and they like to have fun together. It's a great environment to be set up in. It's really nice when you can connect with the people that you work with. Again, we really want to keep it positive. We really want to have that tie-in where everyone is successful together. So the better you do, the better the office does, the better you build the schedules and talk and communicate, diagnose properly and treatment plan properly, the better that everyone's really going to do together. And when you're able to do that, you're going to be very successful.
Absolutely. Okay, next up is, do supplies like files, gutta percha come out of the collections or production?
No. Supplies are taken care of for you. That's one of the benefits of being an employee. We really don't say no. If you need something, there have been times that I've had massive file orders and BC sealer orders, and I'm thinking, oh man, someone's gonna squash this down, and it hasn't happened. The only time I've ever seen something come across my plate since I've been in this role is someone was doing a lot of surgeries and ordered about $10,000 worth of bone because they hit a number of on their supply sheet. And other than that, no. You're able to get what you need. You need to be able to have the materials you want to treat your patients. It's not something that comes out of that gross profit line at all. So there's no hit on your compensation.
Right. For assistants, how many do you have and how are they assigned?
So the goal is to have at least one assistant. That's the goal. You have one assistant that's going to be paired with you, going office to office. It used to be something that was a lot easier across the country. Assistants and office managers and front desk people, every position is becoming harder and harder to fill. That's not just at Aspen, that's at any dental office, that's with any job or career, because it's just the environment that we're in right now. The goal is to find that assistant. They get paid to travel with you. They get paid more. It's like having a promotion if they're part of the company or if they're finding somebody, because it's very important that you're able to recreate your treatment room, your treatment environment, going office to office. And when we're able to find that and get you the ability to set up the same in each place, it's really a win.
Absolutely. Next, is there a daily rate like for the GPs, or is compensation straight production?
So there is a daily rate that we have, but I would say that you're going to work extremely hard, and whatever that daily rate is, whether it's Aspen or another company, I would say that you really need to look at the bigger picture as far as the patient flow, because most of your pay is going to come from production. Just like if you were a general dentist, just like if you had any dental job, the more you're able to produce, the more that you work, the more you make. And that's just the way it is in dentistry. It's not a salary job, it is a percent of production. And we want to set you up to be as as successful as possible. So the better we can structure your schedule, the better we can work with the dentist and get everything set up, the more successful you'll be. The starting daily rate, what we have on our contracts is $500 for a daily rate. It's really just an advance of salary. So you have a paycheck coming in every 2 weeks, but whether it's $500 or $1,000 or $1,500, whatever you'll have at certain places, we don't want you to feel like that's where you should settle or be at. The way we have it set up is you're basically encouraged and incentivized to do work, and that's how all dentistry is going to be. The more you produce, the more you're able to make. And will you be happy at 500? No. Will you be happy at 1,000? I hope not. Will you be happy at 1,500? I still hope not. Our average that people are producing on a daily basis is significantly higher than any of those numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. How can you manage your vacation? Is it flexible?
Because of the setup in the offices, and you making a percent of the production, right? Like you're able to take vacations as you need. We have certain specialists who take, a week here, a week there. I personally, when I first started, I worked 6 months. I didn't take a single day off. And one of the owner dentists came up to me, and it was one of the greatest things he said. He was like, "Hey, doc, what the heck are you doing? You've been here 6 months. Why don't you take a vacation?" I thought that was very powerful because he was telling me, hey, take a break, focus on work-life balance, and make sure you do that. As long as you don't take advantage of the situation, because there are so many patients, nobody is really going to be here telling you not to take time off. You produce when you're at the offices, you make money when you're at the offices. If you're not there, you're not able to produce, you don't make money, but you do have the ability to take vacations, to structure your schedule how you want to. You can build longer days, you can stack stuff up, but if you want to take time and travel and enjoy life, we highly recommend that. That goes back to the culture part. We want you to be happy, we want you to be enjoying it. It could be a long day, but it's very rewarding, and you should definitely take time off, vacation, and take care of yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, next up, again, guys, thank you for all the questions. These are great. How many operatories?
So typically you're going to be working treatments out of one operatory, and then you have the ability to take another operatory for overflow, for patient exams. And again, like if you have the ability to see more patients, and if you need another operatory, that's something that we're looking in right now. Historically, we've had one operatory for treatment and one for overflow. We're trying to see if we have another operatory, do we raise that ceiling for you? Does it make sense? Are we able to get that for you? So that's definitely something that we're looking at.
And then how about do metrics like patient satisfaction scores, etc., affect specialists?
But luckily, it does not affect endodontists or oral surgeons for that matter. It's a straight percent of production, like what we had talked about earlier. We hope that you're going to be a good part of the team. I know that my dentists appreciate the fact that I will always have their back, just like I know that they're going to have my back. I want to deliver good care. I want the patient to be happy. I don't want to see my name on Yelp saying like, hey, Dr. Mehler, what a jerk, what a pain in the butt. This was a bad root canal, bad experience. I always want to deliver the highest level of patient care. That being said, you're going to have patients who are frustrated, who are upset, who have different problems in the process, but any patient satisfaction issues that they have are not going to affect your compensation.
Perfect. Does Aspen help out with malpractice insurance?
Yes, they do. So if you go further in the process, that's part of the benefits package as well. They have a program where you can use the malpractice through Aspen and the company that they utilize. I personally did not use the malpractice through Aspen. I continued to carry my own malpractice, occurrence-based. I didn't want to have to worry about a tail. My insurance company, because not all of them will cover Aspen, or traveling to different practices. So mine did. So I've always kept my same malpractice insurance, and Aspen will send a check monthly. I think they cover up to $3,000 a year of your malpractice if you're not using it through them.
Perfect. Do you have autonomy over your schedule?
100%. You have the ability to control when you work, how you work, the cases you want to do, the way you want to practice, how you want to code for patients, the timing, right? We talked about timing before. That's really up to you, right? You have the ability to say, these are the cases I want to see. We had the question about surgeries. I'm comfortable with surgeries. We have specialists and we have endodontists who are not comfortable with surgeries. I'm comfortable doing retreatments, although I've become a lot more selective over time, right? And you figure out what works in the practices. But there are certain endodontists who have so many primary endo treatments, they don't really want to take the time doing 2, 3, 4 visit cases. And that's okay, right? It doesn't seem like it should be okay, but that's why there are local endodontists. If you need more time, more TLC, you're really able to kind of tweak your schedules and your patient selection. If you have, if you're lucky enough to have that really patient flow that we try to get, that you can really be selective on what cases that you're doing. Again, the goal is providing patient care to patients that need it.
Mhm. And how about, are you doing your own consults?
So that's a tricky one to answer. For me, building those relationships with the dentist, presenting to them, right? I want to try to eliminate the consults as much as possible. The dentist can send me texts or Teams or emails. They'll send pictures of x-rays. They'll send videos of CBCTs. We're trying to figure out on the front end, is this going to work? Is this going to be successful? Can I put this root canal treatment on my schedule? And can I execute that, right? And when you're side by side and shoulder to shoulder with the dentist, it's really a unique opportunity to be able to stack your schedule treatment heavy patients. Now, if you prefer, again, I wouldn't do a retreat or a surgery without a scan and an eval first. So you do that. I try, and I think it's best if you can really work with the general dentist to figure out on the front end before you get there. So that's the best use of time. Of course, there are going to be times where you're going to have to do your own consults. Of course, I don't trust a single person anyways, right? So to that fact, like, I'm still going to make sure that good radiographs, you do your pulp testing. If I need anything, I take a CBCT. I'm not going to just say, okay, I have this tooth on my schedule, it's tooth number 30, let's jump into it, because I'm still going to test it. I'm still going to percuss. I'm still going to probe. You got to do everything on the front end with your diagnosis before jumping into treatment to make sure it's the correct tooth, to make sure you need to do it. So that's what I would say there.
Mhm. And how about, how many offices do you typically cover as full-time?
So the typical full-time endodontist is covering anywhere between 8 to 12 offices. The geographic stretch of those offices depend on where you're working. Certain areas have more offices closer together. Certain offices can fill your schedule a lot more. So it really depends on how busy those offices are, how well you can get them to treatment plan. Really, like, if you can shrink down your geographic area and you can work in less offices, I think that would be more ideal. Again, I first started with 7 offices. I added a few more over time. But I would say the average is about 8 to 12. And you go to each office that you cover every other week, right? So twice a month would be normal. There are some offices that can use you every single week. There are some offices that want you there 3 times a month. And sometimes, depending on what it is, there are offices that'll say about once a month, right? But we really try to work with these offices to decrease that travel, to decrease the geographical load that you're going to go to.
Right. And then to piggyback off that, looks like, are you covering more than one office in a day?
No. So I don't believe that anybody in the network is covering more than one office a day. The unique thing here is if there's a patient that has an emergency, that has a problem from another office, the other offices will send them your way. If something, obviously we want all the patients to show on the schedule, but if something falls off, we're going to be reaching out to all the surrounding offices. The office managers are going to work as a team, just like you're working with the dentist. Like these offices are going to all help to fill your schedule. So just because you're in one office doesn't mean you're not going to get another Aspen office sending it your way. Patient comes in that same day, they're in pain, they need to get a root canal, they'll send it to the offices sometimes. So they're all going to work together to help fill your schedules.
Mhm. And how about, what is the demographic for Aspen patients?
It varies by location. Again, I touched on it a little bit before. The average Aspen dental patient has not been to the dentist 5 to 10 years, has some dental neglect, right? Has a little bit of dental phobia. They may feel bad about going, they may be shy. Overall, more on the, again, it just depends by the area. Sometimes harder working, blue collar, middle class patients that are coming in that haven't been to the dentist in a while. But again, depending on the area, you may get more rural, you may get more wealthy. It just depends. But either way, these are patients who are coming in that want treatment. They're coming into that new patient exam. They're coming into these Aspen offices for comprehensive care. The dentists are going to treatment plan comprehensive care. They're going to talk about the entire treatment. One of the first things you're going to do, you're going to do your hygiene visits. You're going to do your endo. You're going to get people out of pain, remove the disease. So you're really going to be at the front end. And as was asked about patient satisfaction, I always try to make it a point to talk to the patient about everything that they need. We're going to stress that restorative phase after endo, but I'm also talking to the patient about taking care of everything that they need. And when my dentists see that I'm talking about that, they also know that I'm encouraging their success for these patients. They're more inclined to say, hey, this guy has my back, this person's helping out, we're working together to get these patients the care that they need. So some of these patients really do have larger treatment plans, and they're signing up, they're doing the work, they're taking care of themselves, they're coming here because they want to be treated.
Yes, absolutely. What about, do Aspen offices participate in Medicaid dental insurance plans?
They do not participate with Medicaid. We want to make sure that we get good reimbursements for our specialists. We want to make sure we take care of as much patients as possible. Some of these DMO plans, DHMO plans are extremely low fees. Medicaid sometimes has low fee reimbursements. Again, we're looking at these contracts. We want to make sure that we are able to see the patients, deliver the care we need. Just because a patient doesn't have insurance or we don't accept certain insurances at the offices doesn't mean we won't treat them. Our goal is to deliver access to care to patients. Sometimes it looks a little bit differently, but no, we're not doing Medicaid dental care in these offices.
Is there a high percentage of PPO and fee-for-service patients? What does the pay or mix look like?
So it varies by geography. It varies office to office. I believe that most of these offices are about 25 to 30% fee for service when it comes to the endo portion and the root canal portion, and about 75% dental insurance, variable mix, PPO. Again, we're looking at our payer strategy right now. We're looking at the payer mix because we have these offices in a lot of these areas where other practices aren't going into. And we're currently trying to increase the payer reimbursement for that. But there are plenty of people. I remember when I started out and I was surprised doing anterior for $1,300-$1,400 and premolars for $1,500 and molars for $1,800. And the way that people have it, there are cases like that. Now, have I had my fair share of lower reimbursements? Yes. Is it frustrating? 100%. But overall, it balances out, and we still get that blended number of about $1,100-$1,200 for a molar. And again, I can recall like one day in specific, just because I know the exact insurance, I know who started the insurance company, right? That I had a few molars that day. I think it was 3 or 4 molars at really low fees, really bad DHMO plans. But then during the day, I also had some fee for service anteriors and premolars that you could knock out very efficiently, do very good work, and it kind of balances out the day at that point. And we're hoping that that you see that we value your day and your time to do this.
office. Do you travel with the same assistants to each office?
Yeah. So again, I was lucky that the moment I stepped in, there was an assistant ready to go who was always going office to office with me. It used to be the case that we were able to do that. When we have our full-time endodontist, we really want to make sure that we have the assistant to do that. Again, harder environment today with the workforce, with shortages, with everything, but that is definitely the goal. We want to make sure to make a reproducible environment. So even though you're going to be in different offices, you have the exact same treatment set up every place that you go, because that's going to be a key to your success.
Exactly. And then what do you do for if you have any emergencies, if you're not going to be in that same office all the time? How do you handle emergencies?
So just like the other offices crashing the schedules, if there's an emergency that you haven't seen before, a patient wants treatment, they'll send it from a different office to your office. If there's an emergency, I was at an office yesterday, I'm at a different office today. Typically, they'll ask the patient to drive. Hopefully, you're close enough in proximity. If you're not close enough in proximity to that office, or if the patient can't get there, that's where it really pays off to having your dentist work shoulder to shoulder. You have those relationships where the dentist can say, what can I prescribe? What can I do? A lot of these providers are very skilled at what they do. They'll take care of patients. They're really focusing on patient satisfaction and patient care, whether it's an I&D, whether it's a prescription, whether it's reducing occlusion, whatever it is. That's why having this network of dentists is so powerful.
Awesome. And then we have, is it difficult to travel with your microscope?
So the traveling piece is not that difficult from bringing stuff from office to office. There are two different ways that people do it. It's not always best when we describe it like this. I never want to give my microscope to my assistant because she's never missed a day. But if she ever did, I would really be remiss to not have it with me. Always traveling with the microscope, put it in the car, not a problem. There is a Pelican case that the microscope goes into. It's just the optics. If you guys have used global microscopes before, it's the optics that come off of the stand. Put them in the Pelican case, travel with it. Also, I've always had a Nomad with me, traveling office to office. Nomad comes in a case. The Carestream has their new, 2400p that we just work with them on developing a case, hard-sided case. It's got wheels on it. You roll it out to the car, you put it in the car, and that's how you're going to travel. Make sure you keep it safe and protected when you're going office to office.
Awesome. Perfect. Guys, just a heads up too, we're getting close to the hour. So we absolutely greatly appreciate all your questions. These are fantastic. If you have some last minute ones you want to chat in, please do. But also maybe Dr. Mehler, if you could, tell us maybe a little bit what it is that you most enjoy about working for Aspen, why it's been a good home for you so far.
Definitely. Again, appreciate your time being on here. Please ask the questions. Most of these are coming in anonymous. We don't know that it's you. We're going to answer these questions for you. I really like that you can eliminate barriers. You see patients. I work with people that I love, right? And it's really been like a whole network of friends and colleagues that you meet here. The culture is really amazing. I had a goal of what I wanted to produce, both clinically and financially. I've been able to do that here. We've been able to build big schedules. We're trying to deliver the support and the CE and deliver on the promises that we make. I am here to help endodontists across the company. That's the role that I have on the administrative side. And we want to say that we can deliver on what we offer, right? It's been a very great system and a great job and a great way to meet people and have this whole community of endodontists and general dentists and the office staff. We all have fun together. We all do well together. We're all tied in. It's been a great system. Yes, do you have to travel? For sure. If you're in private practice, you're taking people to breakfast and lunches and dinners, and you're giving gift cards, and you're taking them out, and you're doing all that you can, and you're writing notes. Yes, there's time driving, which sometimes can get frustrating, but you know, at the end of the day, I'm not saying, hey, Dr. So-and-so, thank you for sending me this patient. I really appreciate it. Here's the patient's picture. Here's my CBCT. Here's my radiograph. This is the diagnosis. That could take hours during the week. Taking people out takes a lot of time and money. I've never had to do that. I've never gone in nights and weekends. It's been very successful way for me to just come in, do the best work I can, and not have to worry about it. If it works for you, if it's something that you're interested in, full-time, part-time, definitely, you know, talk to some of the people who are here. You talk to people like Kristen and some of our talent acquisition managers. We have Mary Beth, we have Samantha, we have Seth, right? And there are a lot of people who are on this team. There's a lot of different people on the specialty side to help make sure that you have all the information, and that if you join, you have the tools that you need to be successful.
Absolutely. We got one last question here is, do your ops have a radiograph tube head?
Most of these offices for Aspen Dental have one main radiograph room, where on one side you're going to have your tube head and your number 1 and 2 sensors, and on the other side you're going to have your Pano CBCT, which is the care stream. And some offices have built in tube heads in other parts of the room. Again, I always had a Nomad. It was there before I got there. And many specialists have the Nomad. Many have the, you know, the X-ray tube between the rooms, but that's not always the case. The goal is that if you join, we figure out what you need to be successful. And I think that's part of the mix here is, if you don't have it, if there's something that you need, let's work on it to figure out what you need to be successful.
Absolutely. So guys, that takes us pretty much to the end of the hour. So Dr. Mehler, can't thank you enough for all your insight and, you know, walking us through your journey. Greatly appreciated. We definitely appreciate all you guys joining us tonight. The questions were fantastic. So thank you. And most importantly, we hope you guys all learned a little something, a little more than you knew coming into this, getting a little bit of insight. So with that being said, we thank you all. And if you have any questions or want to learn a little bit more, you can absolutely reach out to us. We can put our contact info in the chat too. And we hope you all have a wonderful and safe holiday this season. So thank you all enough. And Dr. Miller, if you want to close on anything as well.
Yeah, definitely. We're definitely an open book here. We're here to answer any questions, whether it's Aspen, whether it's what you should be looking for about patient flow, patient care, what we provide. We know that there's a lot of competition in the market. We know that there are a lot of people vying for you and for your attention and for your career, because endodontics is a fantastic job. I love it. I love what I do. I feel very blessed to be in this position, to get to interact with so many other endodontists, right? And it's a big decision where you're going to spend your time. Please reach out. You can call me, you can text me anytime you want. Kristen is here. You know, whatever you guys need, we're here to address it and help you at any point in your journey. And whether you decide that you want to look more now or get more information now, or whether you're going to get more information down the line, if you take another job, if you want to come back, if it's something that you're thinking of later, if you want to supplement, whatever it looks like, we're here to help you out, support your journey. And that's all that we can hope for. And we really appreciate your time. So thanks for coming out tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. Hope to see you all soon. Take care.